Let's stop pretending. Everyone feels it, but nobody really wants to talk about it. The fact is, reality doesn't feel real anymore. There's this weird hollowness to the world, like someone lowered the resolution of life when we weren't paying attention. You wake up and the day already feels familiar, not because you lived it before, but because it doesn't feel alive. Nothing hits the way it used to, and nothing feels grounded. You're surrounded by people, but you feel alone. You're scrolling endlessly, but you're not absorbing anything. You're existing, but it doesn't feel like living. And the craziest part, everyone feels this shift, but nobody knows what to call it. So I'm gonna call it what it is. We're living in a world that acts like a simulation, not because the universe glitched, but because the culture collapsed. Reality didn't suddenly become fake. We did. Look around. You can't tell me this feels normal. People move like they're buffering. Conversations feel preloaded. Emotions feel phoned in. You ask someone how they're doing and they spit out the same four-word script that they've been trained to use since childhood. Good, and you? Not too bad, no complaints here. It's like talking to a machine that learned English from corporate training videos. And you start to realize something is off. Not with you, but with everything around you. Life used to feel textured, raw, unpredictable. Now it feels like someone hit copy and paste on the entire planet and expected us not to notice. We're not imagining the emptiness, we're sensing the decay. Because reality hasn't been replaced by a simulation, it's been replaced by a cheap imitation of itself. The world still exists, but it's been hollowed out. The lights are still on, but nobody's home. Here's the harsh truth. When culture loses meaning, reality loses weight. And that's exactly what's happening right now. We're drowning in content, but starving for connection. We're surrounded by people, but allergic to presence. Everything is loud, but nothing has a pulse. You can scroll for hours, millions of videos, millions of faces, and walk away feeling like you didn't just consume something, but like something consumed you. Social media didn't just reshape society, it rewired human consciousness. It made everything feel like a performance. It made everyone adopt a persona. It turned individuality into branding. It replaced spontaneity with strategy. It replaced conversations with captions. It replaced community with follow counts. It gave us more eyes on us than ever before and somehow made us feel more invisible. No wonder reality feels fake. We replace authenticity with algorithms. Your environment isn't shaped by your senses anymore. It's shaped by your feed, by whatever gets the most engagement, by whatever keeps you scrolling the longest, by whatever gets the advertisers paid. You're not living in a world, you're living in a reaction chamber. And if life starts to feel scripted, predictable, repetitive, it's because most of what you see is scripted, predictable, and repetitive. The world you experience is curated for you by code, and code doesn't care about meaning, it cares about metrics. It cares about keeping you entertained, not enlightened, hooked, not awakened, scrolling, and not thinking. So reality starts to feel like a simulation because the perception of reality is being shaped by systems that behave exactly like one. And while the digital world gets louder, the real world fades out. People stop being present. Conversations lose depth. Moments lose meaning. Nothing sticks. Nothing slows down. Nothing feels alive. Nothing feels alive enough to remember. The brain needs novelty to feel reality, but we've built a society where everything repeats itself at high speed. The same memes, the same phrases, the same controversies, the same aesthetics, the same micro trends that last 3 days before dying like fruit flies. It's cultural fast food, quick, addictive, but empty. And after enough of it, your mind goes numb. You stop feeling anchored to anything. You stop distinguishing one week from the next. You stop recognizing yourself in the mirror. It's not depression, it's sensory collapse. When nothing feels real, your mind starts treating reality like background footage. And the thinness of the world isn't the universe malfunctioning, it's your brain struggling to grip a life that has no friction left. Because friction makes things feel real. Effort makes things feel real. Presence makes things feel real. And we've engineered a world with none of the above. We're overstimulated but underexperienced, connected but disconnected, exposed but unseen. We replace purpose with productivity, experience with consumption, identity with aesthetics, and relationships with roleplay. People don't show up anymore, they just perform. They speak in catchphrases, they adopt prepackaged beliefs, they react instead of reflect, they mimic instead of think. It's not that people turn into NPCs or non-playable characters. It's that society trained them to live on autopilot. And autopilot feels like a simulation. That's why you feel so detached. That's why the world feels weightless. That's why life feels more like a digital loop than a lived experience. It's not your fault. You're not broken. You're not malfunctioning. You're waking up inside a culture that forgot how to feel real. You're noticing the cracks, the repetition, the emptiness, the artificial rhythms. You're noticing how shallow everything has become. You're noticing how predictable people are. You're noticing how nothing surprises you anymore. And that's good. That's awareness sharpening. That's consciousness resurfacing. And that's the beginning of seeing the world the way it actually is. And not the way you were conditioned to accept it. Reality feels fake now because the structures that we built on top of reality, like the systems, the trends, the personas, the platforms, they're all fake. They're engineered, curated, optimized, polished, and prepackaged. But you're real. That's why you feel the disconnect. You're a human being living in a world that's forgotten how to be human. You're a conscious mind inside a culture that rewards unconscious behavior. You're alive in a society that's running itself like software. And somewhere deep inside you, something is refusing to play along. You're not supposed to feel at home in a world like this. You're supposed to question it. You're supposed to notice when life stops feeling like life. You're supposed to feel the glitch because only the awake notice when the world goes dim. Reality isn't fake, but this version of reality is. And the moment you admit that to yourself, you stop being a passenger and start becoming an observer. You stop running the script and start reading it. You stop living in that collapse and start rising above it.